All right. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's 10:02 a.m. I'm going to ask you all to please rise as the clerk does the invocation pledge.
Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we remember the account that we must one day be faithful stewards of your good gifts. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. That's all. All right. Roll call, please. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting for public input, public comment. Is anyone in the audience like to address the MPO board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, approval of the minutes from the meeting of May 8th.
So move. Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 6, the MPO advisory committee reports. The first is the CAC meeting. I know we have Ms. Kelly Miller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor. Excuse me. Good morning, commissioners, council people, everyone that's here today. Thank you for letting me share with you what we talked about at our last CAC meeting. Citizens Advisory Council was held on May 31st this month. And we did approve all of the action items that were on the agenda. The final transportation improvement program from 2017 clear through till 2022. The UPWP, the General Planning Consultant Amendment, and the TIP Amendment. We listened to status reports. We had a fantastic report from Ed McKinney from FDOT, who talked to us about the next steps that are going to be happening in Tampa Bay. I do have a little newsletter here that I'm sure you guys can get a copy of. Unfortunately, Ed was unable to do the presentation for you all today, so we're hoping that we can get him out here next week because it was extremely interesting. And then we also had Stephen Benson give us a fantastic presentation on complete streets, which you'll also see. Hopefully, there's a MPO function going on in Tampa at the same time as this meeting, so they were unable to attend today. We heard from your staff on the transit projects that were happening with PCPT, and we also looked at the 2017 list of priority projects. Those were presented to us by Manny Lajmeri, and then Ali Atefi gave us a updated report on the Regional Transportation Leadership Workshop, which Mayor Hernandez and Commissioner Jack Mariano both attended when we did a collaborative labs down in St. Pete. So we got an update of the second one that happened in the Jewish Center. I can't remember the street that was on down in Tampa. There was a fairly large turnout. There was probably maybe 25 people from Pasco. So again, I want to reach out to everybody who's on the board here to please talk to anyone that you know to get some more Pasco people involved in what's happening with the MPO. We really do want to make sure that we get a clear voice and a big picture of what it is we need as far as transportation needs to get to some of the centers that, like the airport and different attractions that are around the Tampa area. It really has become a regional thing, so we want to make sure that there are voices heard from Pasco. There's going to be 8 counties involved in this, so I like to think that we can at least pan out to be in the top 3 of that. The next peer group meeting for the Federal Highway Agency is going to be on June 28th. I'll be attending that. That'll be the second follow-up meeting from the St. Louis trip that we took to deal with the regional area. So thank you again. And Commissioner Starkey, I'd like to thank you for appointing me to this because I'm really enjoying myself and all the things that we're learning. I'm looking forward to working with the new Transportation Planning Manager, Craig Casper, and getting the CAC back on track and being able to present some more things to you. So again, have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. The next item, committee reports, is for the BPAC. Do we have someone?
Mayor, Randy is not here, but I did also attend the meeting. It was a meeting on May 25th. There were several presentations made. This was in Dunedin. And Brian Smith did an overview of the Sun Trail program. And Rodney Chapman did a great presentation on automatic trail counters, basically something we need to look into to see where our pedestrians are walking around. It's just like same thing with vehicles. This is for pedestrian counters. It was an interesting meeting. That's all.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions from any on the BPAC? Okay, thank you, sir. Brings us to our action items. The first one is a public hearing on the final transportation improvement program for 2017-18 through 2021-22. And Manny, you're handling that for us?
Right.
today?
Just want to give a brief history of what this document is about. This is something we approve every year, and it's basically based on a priority list that the MPO approved back in September of 2016. It provided guidance to DOT in programming of projects and programs in the tentative work program. This is for the 5 years of 2017-18 through 2021-22. This draft document has been under a 30-day comment period, and in fact, we were receiving comments as of yesterday, and Mabel's trying to input those into the document from Federal Highway Administration and DOT. I have a brief presentation on some of the highlights of the TIP that I was going to go over with you.
So are we going to see those on our screens
Yeah.
here? Because that's not showing.
You don't see them on your screen?
Are we supposed to?
No, turn them on
Do you
at
have 'em?
at the screen, right?
Okay, press down the bottom left.
Oh, okay.
Now we got it.
All righty.
Thanks. We're learning.
Just for the record, we have Dale Masha that has joined us for the meeting. Welcome, sir.
It's a long way from here.
Manny, I'm sorry. Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is your mic on?
No, yours
No?
isn't. I don't know if your mic, no, see, it should be red.
It's not red.
So press the,
Press.
press it on the side.
Nothing happening?
See this button?
Yeah, nothing. Oh, now it's on, okay. So do you want, stays off? Yeah, I have to be an engineer as well, okay. All right, I'm sorry, all right. Manny, go ahead.
Okay, so in looking at capacity improvements, I-75-56 interchange, this is the Diverging Diamond project. The construction was advanced from 2020 to 2018. Then we have County Road 54, Wesley Chapel Boulevard from 54-56 to Progress Parkway. We were able to secure some grant funding with DOT.
I'm sorry, there was just, we noticed the gentleman sitting next to you, and since we have, everybody's joined us, what should we just, you've been referenced a few times, sir. I know who you are, but could you just want to get up and just introduce yourself, and you, for those of you that haven't had a chance, and I'm sure you'll probably comment during the meeting. I should have done that, I'm sorry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Craig Casper. I am the new Transportation Planning Manager for Pasco County and the MPO. I have been here 3.5 days and met a lot of people. I look forward to working with you. I don't know if update, like just before this meeting I was mentioning earlier, I was looking at resumes of for the next active transportation planner. We have 4 solid candidates that can all do the job. Now it's figuring out which of the 4 can do other things for us too. So
Does this include the person for trails?
Yep, that's the person for trails.
They can't do anything else. You'll hear that from me.
Okay. Are there any questions? I came here from Colorado. Your air here is much thicker. My house is at 7,000 feet. So this is very thick air to me.
And thank you, and it was, thank you for introducing yourself, and I'm sure you'll be called on, if not today, or if you haven't already hit the ground running, so thank you for doing
Thank you.
that. And thank you, Commissioner Starkey, for pointing that out.
I haven't read it.
It was on, it shifted.
Oh, you got that. No, they're gonna have to comment.
We're having some, and mine's very pixelated, but I don't know if that's the rain.
Let's just keep it rolling.
Are we good?
No.
It's in your book.
Oh, he's got a book. You can follow
There
along.
you go.
There you go.
And it's in the book as well. This is just, all right, and Manny, I'm sorry for the interruption. If you want to either start over or continue, I think we're on item 2. Or
Right.
the-
So the second project is the Wesley Chapel Boulevard, where we're able to get some right-of-way funding under a grant program. US 301 from 56 to 39, adding lanes and reconstruct right-of-way was added in 2021 and 2022. 52 realignment, this is the new 52 extension from Radco Place to Fort King. It's a new road construction, right-of-way is in 18 and construction in 2019. Then we have US 41 from north of Connerton Boulevard, which would actually be Ridge Road Extension, to just about south of 52. Construction is in 2020. 52 from Suncoast to 41, that's been in our 5-year work program for a few years, should start in construction in 2019. These are 2 county road projects, county line road projects with Hernando County. They're basically up here in Hernando County's list. For your information, there's the intersection improvement. Construction is this year right around Mariner Boulevard. And also one from Suncoast Parkway to 41. It's actually an alignment that falls mostly in Hernando County. Construction is in 2019. We move into resurfacing projects. Before the meeting, I handed out the 11 by 17 sheets. They're capacity maps, resurfacing maps, and also bike ped improvements for the county, if you want to refer to those. On 39 from Hillsborough County to South of Bay, this is south of the city of Zephyr Hills. Construction was added in 2020. 52 from east of Driver Lane to Aaron Cutoff, construction is in 2018. This is on the west side of 54 around Old Mill Pond Drive to Little Road. Construction is in 2019. We also have another resurfacing project on 41 from north of Aaron Cutoff to Caliente Boulevard. Construction is in 2019. Getting into ped and bike, the Starkey Gap Trail from County Line with Pinellas to just north of 54. Construction was added, Sun Trail money in 2018. Then we have the Hardy Trail extension from Church Avenue to Locke. Construction is in 2018. We also were able to secure funding for 20th Street Sidewalk for City of Zephyr Hills from Henry Drive to County Road 54. DOT added PE in 2018, follow-up construction in 2020. We also have a Safe Routes to School that we had this for many years, finally got funded. Construction is in 2020. We also have County Line Road from Northwood Palms Boulevard to Bruceby Downs. Construction was added in 2018. And we also have Wiggins Drive, part of Meadowlark Elementary School from 54 Trouble Creek. Construction is in 2019. As far as transit, we roughly have, I don't have itemized project listing, but funding is about $3 million a year for capital for fixed route, basically to buy buses under section 5307. We also have some operating assistance of about $2 million a year. We also get money to operate Route 19, about $2 million a year. 54 connector is about $290,000 a year. And also we service some rural areas in the county, which we get about $680,000. We also have an amount in tune of about $10 million for the 5-year work program for the Zephyr Hills Airport. Some rehab taxiway and some pavement, and they need to have an access road. Also the new parking lot, and they're gonna polyurethane coating on the roofs. These are the 3 maps. I don't know if they appear very well on the screen, but it mimics all the projects that I kind of went through.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
just have a
Oakland.
question. When you talk about 2018, you're talking about July of 17 starting
That's correct,
2018,
Commissioner.
right? Okay. So it starts right away on 2018. When they discuss that, it starts in July, which is next month.
Correct.
Right. So this becomes effective. We need to approve this document, forward it to DOT, and becomes effective July 1st.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Should we open up to the public first or address?
Either way.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this item this morning? Seeing none, we'll close public hearing and bring it back to the MPO board. Other questions? Commissioner Starkey?
I had a conversation with our county engineer, Margaret, last night, talking about the funding for the Starkey Gap. And though it says 18 here, it's my understanding it's the end of 18 that we're talking about allocating for this, and I want to move that up.
The money is in fiscal year 2018. I guess I can work to find out if they can advance it.
Because
They have to finish the design, from what I understand. It's not gonna get done until almost the end of this year.
So, Margaret, do you have any of those dates with you by any chance of when DOT gave that contract on that trail? We were talking about it yesterday. Manny, do you have those dates?
I mean, there is some email correspondence we send back and forth. Project management actually got a hold of the project engineer for that. And from what I recall, the design was supposed to be done towards the end of this year, and then they were gonna move into construction.
So what I recall was that this engineering firm out of, I believe it was Orlando, to do our little trail here, was given 18 months. But now we're on to 3 years.
I wanna ask you, Brian, do you know if anything on this project as far as?
I know that the topics come up. The project management team is addressing your concerns. From what I understand, there's permitting issues that are also involved. I can go back and find out if we can advance the letting, which is what you're requesting from the end of the year to.
The problem is this, Pinellas, the same day we got let the contract to design our 1 mile, what is it, 1.5 mile trail, Pinellas got the money as well to design and build theirs. They've designed theirs, built theirs, and now it dead ends. And we've got a mile gap separating 3-4 counties.
One main difference is for Pinellas portion.
They own the right of way.
They didn't have any problem with right of way. They have.
We don't, I understand that, but my understanding is once the design is done, and please let me know if I'm wrong, once the design is done, then we do the contract with Duke. Because maybe our county administrator doesn't realize, we're going up the Duke corridor. And so they're involved in the design, but we don't have a contract yet with them. Is that correct?
That's what I understand. That's part of the, when I reference permitting, I'm talking about the Duke Energy permission to be on the property.
So I probably think I would like to be more involved in this than what's been happening.
Commissioner, I participated in a meeting about 5 weeks ago on this project. Sam Bennick from our project management staff is leading the project. He's doing a great job. One of the things we discovered at that meeting is that the state has been wrestling, I will say, use the word wrestling, with Duke regarding the right-of-way. And there is continual pushback. It's going to happen. Everybody's in line and moving forward, but it has caused some slowdown on the process. We also were on a different time frame in terms of the money being available in the original contract. So as Brian has already mentioned, the money is not going to be, as many already said, the money's not going to be available until fiscal 18. We were able to move it up to that point from where it had been previously. The design, it was acknowledged by the state project managers that there had been some delay in the design process through last summer, which did slow us down. And they apologized, and we're moving forward apace now. We can continue to put pressure on the process and try to get the state to advance funding, but that's as far as we can go at this point with it.
So if there are problems with Duke, I would like to know. I mean, I've gone through 3 Duke presidents working on this trail,
And we
who are all up in Charlotte right now.
I actually made that invitation to the team at the meeting 4 weeks ago. They were welcome, and they will come to you and ask for help for that.
I also
as it's
talked to
needed.
Senator Simpson about this trail 2 days ago, and he was meeting with the new FDOT director yesterday. I was more concentrating on the problems with the Orange Belt Trail going under the
we will
Suncoast, but
reintroduce your invitation to the project team at DOT and make sure that we can pull all of our resources together.
I have a conference call coming up with Mr. Steinman that was supposed to be last week, and it was moved to July 5th. But yeah, I'd like to know if there's anything I can do in the meantime to help with Duke.
Thank you.
And any
we'll involve
other
you
board
directly.
member. We need this. I mean, they're going to hold up the whole coast-to-coast trail? So,
No.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll bring you involved. We'll get you right involved.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Duffy. Commissioner Mariano.
But I still want to be in the beginning of 2018 and not the end of 2018.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, for 12 years, I've looked at the list that goes on, especially, let's say, on the 2016 priority list of transportation alternatives. I look at this big map in front of us, and everything's kind of like from Suncoast all the way over. There's 2 sidewalk projects that are desperately needed. One of them, Zimmerman, which does connect to a Gulf Highlands Elementary School. There's another Ranch Road that connects out to US 19 for people to get to a bus route. There's no sidewalks there. I want to say that these projects have probably been in the bottom of this list for a long, long time. And it's a little frustrating. I see 7 different projects have now leapfrogged ahead of these things that desperately need to get done.
Where's that list, Jeff? 'Cause
Page
gotta see where-
22, 23. So, you know, all the money seems to be going to the other side, and I believe the gas tax is paid all over the place. I think we need to get a better balance here. I really want to see you take another look at the Ranch Road and Zimmerman and try to move them up. You've got other new projects that have jumped before them. The people have been waiting patiently, and they're not getting so patient any longer. We need to change what you've got here. So I'm not going to support what you've got here for this alternative.
Okay, the 2016 list, Commissioner, is what we did last year. We have an agenda item coming up about the 2017 priority list. And I worked with Debbie Bulldog. We kind of figure out what she can do on the county side and what we can do on the transportation alternatives. And we have added several projects. We can go through them when we get to that item. And you can add anything you want for the 2017 that we will adopt next month.
And let me bring up another project, too, that actually connects the 2 cities, Newport Richey and Port Richey. There's a bridge that was scheduled to go underneath the bridges to connect. We've got it going through. A lot of good things are going down around there that we can actually make that thing come back to life. And Mayor will probably speak to it, but I'd like to see that thing brought forward.
Yeah, I've coordinated
expressed.
with the mayor, and I have actually added that to the list. As we go through it, I'll show you where it is.
Okay, so we are on the list now?
Yes.
As Jack is
I'll show you the
graciously.
2017 list in just a minute, and we have added that project.
Okay, thank you.
So I would talk about Leonard, but I'll wait to see your 27. Okay.
Are you still continuing, Commissioner Mariano?
That's it.
You did.
Thank you.
Mayor Massey?
I'm good.
I have a question. I'm not sure if this item or the next one. I see under the intersection projects, Meridian Ave and 21st Street, priority 9. Is that on this
Yeah,
list
we
to
can
be
talk
discussed?
about it
On the
at
next
the
item.
prior.
Okay, just want to make sure of that. Additional questions on this TIP for 2017-18 through 21-22?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Let me
sir.
just bring up one other thing, too, that I thought may come up later, but just in case I don't want to miss the opportunity. Recently, we had the I-75 overpass got rejected. And years ago, we had struggles getting certain things through the state until we started putting them on the priority list. Should we talk about that now, or should we wait till
Till
later?
then, and
Till the later?
we've already added that as well, Commissioner. You're talking about I-75 and overpass.
And the overpass didn't
interchange?
change
Yes,
Okay.
it's in there.
I
As a
know it's in
part-
here, but is it up high enough, or?
Yeah, if you
We'll
want to
talk
talk
about
about it,
this,
it's
okay.
way up there, yes.
Okay.
Additional questions? I believe what we're being asked to do is to recommend to approve the tip through a roll call vote. If there's not any further discussions, I'll call the vote. Madam Clerk?
Okay.
Aye, but I am looking forward to discussions with the agenda item you were talking about as far as prioritizing it for 2017, because I endorse what Commissioner Mariano just said wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Right, motion passes. Thank you. Next item, public hearing, is the UPWUP for fiscal year 2016 through 2018. And Manny, you're going to be handling that as well, and this is a public hearing.
Yes. So basically, the UPWP, the MPO budget, is a 2-year work program, and we're just amending the second year that will begin July 1st. We're amending our funding allocations, planning funding allocations. There's some annual certifications and assurances that the MPO chair will sign off on. It also includes the joint certification process we went through with DOT on our transportation planning process. There's also a Section 5305, which is an application to receive transit funding, transit planning funding, and all the task sheets that have been adjusted are in your packet. And this has been also under a 30-day comment period. Specifically, I wanted to mention under task 5.5, special studies. I know the city of Zephyr Hills have been asking about the study on 56th extension, and that's also reflected under that task.
Yes, we have a question
And
here
I did
from
wanna,
Councilman Smith.
And that is important to us, if we can connect 56 to Chansey, it opens up the industrial area where the state has put money for infrastructure, as well as the county has done the same thing, and we have a site ready there with Duke Energy has worked with us, as well as Melanie Kendrick. And I think it's pretty critical that we at least look at this preliminary, see if there's any flaws in trying to work toward it, because we know how these things operate. As soon as the road opens up, development occurs. It's occurring now on it, so we've got to get ahead of that. So I appreciate you putting up that on there, and I hope the MPO endorses it as well.
So I guess we'll get with the your staff, and then well, the details of what goes into the study, I guess we'll work it out.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody from the public that wants to make a
Thank you,
comment.
sir. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the MPO board on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the MPO board for additional questions for Manny or staff on this UPWUP that's being presented to us today. Additional questions? No? So we are looking for board approval, correct, Manny?
Yes,
This
please.
one? So this can just be a motion, don't have to do roll call? Is
No
there any
roll.
Motion to approve this UPWUP that's being presented this morning.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, say it all out, we're trying to move this along. You like UPWUP? Whatever. I'm sorry, we have a motion by Commissioner Stocky. I did hear a second over here.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Oakley. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I think they taught me that in that MPO school. Oh, well, there you go. It's another reason that you should go to MPO school. All right. Other action items. Item C. Manley, you're also handling this for us this morning. This is the consultant amendment with for contracts.
We're amending the contracts we have with our planning consultants, AECom and Tyndall Oliver. Basically, there is an Exhibit D in their contract, Appendix A. We're adding item number 7, which is compliance with non-discrimination statutes and authorities. Those statutes and authorities is listed under number 7, and the contractors have agreed to put that language in there. We're just bringing it before the MPO to authorize us to do it.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions for staff on this amendment to this consultant agreement? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
We have a motion
Second.
of Councilman Smith, second by Commissioner Mariano. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number D. Manny, you're handling that as well, the TIP amendment?
Yes, ma'am. So this is an amendment for the Cypress Elementary School. This was a Safe Routes to School project that has funding in 2018. Since it's funded with federal funds and the gap of October and July between the federal cycle and DOTs, since we want to advance this project in order to receive authorization for funding of this project, it requires MPO to amend the existing TIP to include this project, so we can move ahead with this on at least 3 months earlier than expected.
Move to approve?
We have a
Second.
motion, several seconds. A motion by Commissioner Starkey, second by Councilman Smith. Further discussion? All in, oh, no, it's a roll call vote. Roll call vote? Is that what I'm seeing?
It's a roll call.
A roll call, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, I'm sorry.
Yay.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Is there a copy? Moving right along here. A status report. Commissioner Moore's not here. Usually they can. I didn't say that. No. Enjoy the conversation. It always makes us think and move forward. Item 8A is Pasco County Public Transit update. Manny, I believe you're handling that for us
Yeah,
this
Kurt
morning.
could not be here. I guess he's going through some certification process right now. But he wanted us to mention the US 41 route that's been operating since a few weeks ago. And ridership is not as high as we want, but it's a new route. So that's all I have for that item.
Yeah, there was an interesting article that was written, at least an editorial article, I'm not sure what it was. So hopefully it did give publicity that that route was there. And hopefully it does increase ridership, because I know that was very much wanted and needed, so.
There's
Thank you.
many businesses along the way that actually has approached MPO. They want a bus stop on that route, so we work to fit in as many as we can.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions for Manny on this update on the PCPT?
I do have a question. How are we doing on the covered bus stops? Do we have any more coming?
I don't know, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'd like to just make sure we're adding those every year. I think I told you, I don't even remember where it was, but there were people sitting on the ground at that one, a family sitting in the dirt waiting for a bus.
Hopefully Kurt will be here next month. And
We'll let him know to
Yeah, we'll let him.
bring a report on that for
So
next month.
it seems if we don't have a vendor who wants to advertise at one of the bus stops, we should put a bus bench there, at the very least.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last night, we had a meeting about the Homeless Coalition, and one of the routes that was talked about, that I had talked with Kelly Pearson in Hernando County, was connecting up at County Line Road and Denton Avenue, doing a circle down East Road, then connecting on US 19 to that new connection that we had recently done in the past year. To do that, it was going in process, but I guess it's
I
maybe
think
stalled.
Kurt is working on something like that.
Well, I heard last night that it was like off the table, so I want to kind of bring
Oh,
that back
okay.
to the table, and maybe we can get a report on that and bring it before the MPO.
This
so
is
they
in
can
the
actually
Shady
see it.
Hills area?
No, this is not, Shady Hills is still in play.
Yeah.
This is the one that will hit along East Road, US 19, County Line Road, and Denton Avenue.
Oh, okay.
That kind of a loop there.
Okay,
So
I'll
we're
check
working
on
on that, and last night it came out from Kathy that maybe that wasn't happening, so I think it'd be good to bring it before the board to talk about it.
Okay.
All right?
I'll let Kurt know about that one too.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Early.
if you let Kurt know that, bring it up at our next meeting too on transportation, so.
Yes, sir.
Because I know he's working on Shady Hills.
Yes, we definitely want that one.
Yeah.
Additional questions for staff on this item? Seeing none, moving on to item number B, and I think this is Ally and Manny are handling this, is the draft list of priority projects for 2017.
Yeah, good morning. So we're going to talk about this item, but this is a start of a public hearing, 30-day public comment. The list that you see in your packet are in draft form, so we still have 30 days to deal with whatever we have to do. Next MPO board meeting, we will bring a final version for adoption. This list helps to develop the next round of the 5-year work program. Before we get into detail of projects, I wanted to go over a concept that DOT is pushing, and they don't want different list of priorities for different modes. They want one list, so make their life easier. They just go through and just fund them. So we look at what we got today, and this PowerPoint hopefully helped me to explain to you what we are proposing. Manny, can I use that? I only have 3 slides, so don't worry about it. It's going to be a very quick. So this is what we got today. And now I'm not talking the regional priority list. This is the local. We have highways, we got intersections, ITS technology, and then we got transit and bike and ped. The bike and ped actually is called TA in your priority list. So when we look at the funding for these different projects, the transit and bike ped have their own funding source. And they're not, the other projects are not competing with those projects. So we didn't have to deal with or combining transit with bike ped, or transit bike ped with other projects. So basically we are left with highway intersections and technology. So I list them down there, highway intersection technology. I left the table blank, and I want to go through step by step as what we are proposing. So right off the top, as it is, and it was approved last year, we're going to contribute to transportation, regional transportation model, basically giving some money to DOT, but it's about, I think, 40,000. That is a proportionate share of our contribution to DOT, with Pinellas and MPO, Pinellas and Hillsborough doing the same thing, and DOT match what we contribute to help develop the model and continuous development of the model data collection and surveys. So this come right off the top, and it's already we already adopted that last year, so this is nothing new. Then we gonna take we have a list of intersection priorities based on priority criteria for each intersection. So what we're gonna do is put those next. So the reason is that most of the time, or almost all the time, your problems start at intersections, and their cost to improve intersections are relatively cheaper than you go and improve the whole road. And for example, US 41 and 54 we really pushed hard, and they have immediate impact to the general public. So we think that when we look at our existing intersection list, we are not going to put all of the improvements in that spot. We're going to pick and choose which one give us the best benefit, and then we add that to our priority list. So we think that's the best approach to get the best out of our investment. So then next, we're gonna, from our ITS technology list, we're gonna put projects as number 3. We're gonna pick and choose again from our existing ITS projects and add it to our table. Now, right now we are working on 54, 56 ITS, which we think is very important. And again, they're relatively cheaper. It helps operations and have immediate impact. And if we put these two on the bottom, you're never going to get to them, because then the next is highway capacity expansions. Now, on the highway capacity expansions, we're going to keep all of the roads that you see. We're not going to eliminate any of them. So we're going to then, after these, after the intersection and ITS, you're going to see all the capacity improvements. Now, I left the top part open, and the reason is sometimes the MPO board wants to make a statement. What is our number 1 priority? And Commissioner Mariano mentioned, so we're going to put I-75 and Overpass Road interchange as number 1 priority, to just have that statement that you want to go get money for it. You say this is a number 1 priority. So with that said, we're going to end up with list of priority projects that are basically going to be 3 tables. One is the table I just described that has the number 1 priority. It has the regional model support, intersection improvement. This time around, I'm thinking is going to be only US 41 and 54. So we may look at our list, and it may be that we come up with another one that give us a lot of benefit. But at this point, the only one I know is just 54, 41. ITS most likely is going to be 54 ITS improvements. We are working with DOT to see what can be done and how much it costs, what segments, and all that. So hopefully next meeting we will bring it to you and for hopefully final approval. And then highway capacity projects is what you're used to seeing all the time. So this is what's gonna look like at the end. And by the way, on intersection and ITS technology, for the last 2 LRTPs, going back 10 years, we always allocated some funds for this type of improvements. So it's not like when you allocate them to this type of, operational improvements, hopefully it shouldn't make any impact on your major capacity projects, because LRTP already assumes some funds go toward these.
Ally, we have a question.
Just while we're talking about the ITS, that's a system where the traffic signalization will communicate between each other? That's what we're talking about?
Yes, that's one of them. It's basically a smart traffic signal. And it can have, it also consists of like having fiber optic lines and cameras and message boards, things like that. And technology keeps changing, so that's why we put ITS technology. So we just have to keep, be up to date as what is happening. Like these big message boards are starting to become less and less useful, because people with the cell phone already can get information, where are the congestion, what to do. So, you have to be aware of, latest changes.
Is that a pretty cost-effective way to move traffic, and something we could accomplish fairly quickly too, with the ITS?
Relative to expansion projects, yes. And it depends how well you program your software to be able the smart system to talk. And the difference between what the standard signal and the smart signal is that it recognizes, because right now you just set the time and you don't know how the traffic can change every cycle. So the smart system knows every change in traffic and it adjusts itself. And if it programmed correctly, it should give you about 20% more efficiency.
Well, and I think we've talked about it on 19. Sometimes you will be the first car at the stoplight. You'll get stopped at the next one, and you get stopped at the next one. But some areas you can go and the traffic flows through. So this would improve that situation.
It should, and I actually talked to our traffic operations staff, and they said on US 19, they had about 1,000 emergency preemption calls. And every time you get one of those calls, it messes up the system, and by the time it comes back to the normal operation, it may take a while.
Gotcha. Thanks.
That's how I was explained.
Mr. Mariano?
And I've seen sometimes it works really well. Like sometimes in the morning when it's still working on the flow, we can go. But I think very actually just highlighted what could be the problem, because sometimes I'll go through and I'll hit like 2 or 3 and I get stopped and stopped and stopped. So it does vary, and maybe there's that preemption. So maybe there's a way to try to work with that a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
We go on another subject as we talk about improvements. State Road 52, when you get past the Suncoast Parkway, coming up to Shady Hills Road, in the morning, you can be backed up all the way there to 41. I've gone the other way as well from 52 on the other side of 41, coming back from the east, and that can be a mile and a half back up.
Right.
So that is a major intersection that, as we look at these priority lists, every time you move something, you may be kicking something out. When I look at some of the things, I want you guys to study a little bit closer, but I thought I was reading that you're gonna do like a 2-lane improvement to resurface part of 52, and then 3 years later, come back and expand it to 4 lanes. I don't know if that's the best financial investment we can make, to redo a road, and then 3 years later, we're tearing it up. So as we look at these, I think maybe it'd be good for us to actually dissect everything. Let's see what happens with overpass if it does get pulled out. Frankly, one of my thoughts is, if we're gonna go for overpass, we should go for all the money, not even take away even our financial contributions, where we can actually take that money and put it elsewhere. Because right now, we get a lot of penny for Pasco money that's in there. Maybe we need to put it all on DOT and the feds to come up with all the money for it. That may free up our financials to do other things that we want to get done, such as all these sidewalk projects, instead of trying to like burden them with DOT. Maybe if we just did them instead, let them focus on the big stuff they do well, let us focus on the stuff we can do a lot less expensive, because we wouldn't be restricted by the Davis-Bacon Act.
And that's pleasure of the board if board decide to do it.
Great.
Sort of to follow on at least the traffic signal, some of the newer technologies, they're actually putting cameras on side roads to dynamically change the signals real time as they look at all the cars that are feeding in. We had some success in Colorado, 30 to 50% reduction in delay. It's a little more expensive initial investment, but that's some of the new ITS that's coming out, and it works really well, especially when you have large peak flows, say southbound in the morning and northbound in the afternoon. Works great for that kind of situation. So, great.
Thank you, sir. Alex?
So going back to projects on priority list, Manny can go through, you want to go through each project we're adding?
So is the board okay with us proceeding to go this route for next month when we present to you the priority list? We just want.
Sounds like, not that we don't have a choice, but it sounds like that's what's being asked of us to do it or present it that way.
But you could want ITS first, intersection seconds, highway first.
So I have a question though. So obviously item 1 and 2, those are pretty comprehensive or standalone kind of things, but when you get down to the intersections, and take that for example, I know you mentioned 41, but there's others on these, so is it going to be then subsetted, so we're looking at one, I just need to, besides the ones that you're pulling out at the bottom, how will this be presented next time? Sorry, Craig.
Well, would you like it as a set of intersections, or would you like to go at the intersection? So this intersection, an ITS, this location, you know, and do it at site by site instead of a programmatic? What would the board prefer?
What I'm thinking of is, as you're looking at this big list now, I'm thinking, I'm calling it subsets, but I know there's some things, some things that, I'm going to say more important, I know we're all working together here, but there's some that I know that we recognize on our side of the county, some on the other, but it is easier, I guess, you want to hear two things. One, do we like the order that this is presented, and then fill in the blanks with those projects that are fit into those things.
And
Is that what
I think I understand you, because right now, the intersection you have in your package, there are a bunch of
9
intersection
items,
in there. So we don't want to lose the sight of them. So what we can do is consider that list as a working item, because at the end of the day, DOT wants to know how much it costs for each intersection. Historically, we just added this intersection in your list. We don't know how much right-of-way we need. We don't know how much it costs. So we have to now go work on each intersection, figure out how much it costs, and then figure out, is it going to be a really effective project? And then we can present it what we think and put it on the main list, and then also present to you the rest of them. And then if the board desires, you can keep adding them to the where the intersection belong. But I strongly suggest, and you can do whatever you want to, that intersection and ITS projects be on the very top.
Yes.
And you take the money right off the top and then move into it.
That's what we want to hear from you.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Yeah.
It's the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, and I think, and that's been echoed here, is I think we want to get the best bang for our buck, but also, I think Commissioner Mariano said, we want to also, I think, be on the same page as a board, so that when we are talking to legislators and those powers that be that have holding the purse for these, that we're all coming from the same position for the most part. So do we have consensus then that I think what you're asking us, and I think we just said we're good with the way that's listed, with you coming back. So it sounds like you would come back next month.
Next month we'll
and move it around, bring it so we can have a further discussion on where these items are and use that as a working document. Is that, I just want to make sure I understand it, that's what I'm hearing.
We will bring you a list that has those three combined in there, one list.
Can we have a visual map as well, like you did with this?
That's
That would be wonderful.
that helps.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Helps me.
please help. Commissioner Mariani?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As long as we keep a balance to what we're going to go do to benefit all the county, because I think when you look at the capital projects, they should be more on the east side or the southern side where the construction's going. But we've got to look to the infill stuff that we need to go fix that never got done, like the sidewalks and the trail projects on the other side as well. And they still need them on both sides. I think the IT is something that you can use uniformly across the board that's going to benefit everybody, but at the same time, I don't want to put all the IT where you may need to get that one project that could go through. I was at Wesley Chapel the other day heading out to Orlando and trying to go through Chansey, trying to get to 54. I'm going up, over, down to finally get there. So that 54, 56 connection, extended to 301's key, but then we want to see that go further as well. So I don't want to take away from the whole picture, and you may take away one thing that keeps another one that would be an integral part, and you may actually have again, that resurfacing project that's going to be redone in 3 years. That doesn't make sense to go spend that now. It makes sense to move that project up. So comprehensively, you can set the list up however you want, but I think we need to look at everything to figure out what's the best things, what things to move up. And maybe we take some of those older projects that have been sitting for so long, and because of the new structure, maybe they can move up quicker than they normally would. So I'll keep an open mind to the whole list as it comes back.
And I totally agree, and we look at all these and bring you back a list. One thing about the technology I just forgot to mention is, as we expand the system, actually go install cameras and all that, we need to start thinking about our traffic management center, because use is kind of like transit. You keep adding service, your operation and maintenance go higher. So you need to start thinking about if you want to expand your center, or because you have only so much room to expand out in the field and be able to translate that in your center. That's one thing. The other quick thing before Manny go to the local projects, and on the TMA priority list, regional, Chris and Commissioner Starkey did a fantastic job at the TMA meeting. So we got, and you have that, yeah, you have that in your packet. We were able to move in to top 5. The I-75 and overpass interchange, and then also 54, 56 vision to be able to get some money to finish our study. So that was fantastic.
And again, I want to thank Mr. Chiramonte, because he helped us lift it up. And I think we support so many projects that we know will benefit the whole area in the other counties. And I think maybe helping support St. Pete with that, the one that's going to be funded along Central Avenue, maybe was a little tipping point, but it certainly would have happened without your help over there. So thank you very much, and you too.
Okay, man, you want to go to?
Okay, so I was just going to briefly go over some of the adjustments we've made. This is not a combined table, but list of priorities for highway projects. As we process this in other MPO meetings, the US 4154 operational improvement.
What page are you on, Manny?
I am on page 6 of the priority list.
Okay, I want to.
I also have it on the screen. And then also number 11, southbound collector distributor. This is the part to help with the diverging diamond project. This is the southbound ramp that the DOT will add. And also going to the TA projects, Mr. Mariano was going to mention that several projects we've already added. There's more to come. One is number 11, Grand Boulevard from Miles Stretch to Marine Ranch. We also added Jasmine Boulevard, US 19 to Little Road. And also the River Golf Road, this is the one you were mentioning. I worked with Mayor Nassar to add this to this list. Also Balance Rate Boulevard, this is the recommendation from Commissioner Wells to add this project.
What happened to Leonard? They were trying to get that since Commissioner Mallory had that area. I don't want to wait till there's a fatality. And when they pave Henley, there's going to be a lot more cut through traffic from 54 to 41.
We have Leonard on there, it's number 23.
I know, it's not funded, right?
If you look on page 13,
$200,000.
Page 13 on the bottom, these are some of the criteria we use to rank these projects. If the MPO board desires to move projects, you can, but I'm saying originally we used this criteria to rank these, and that's where they fell.
It's still falling low.
Madam
I
Chairman.
mean, I believe in a ranking system. I don't think we should strong arm you guys into moving our projects up. So, but I'm just surprised that one keeps ranking so low.
I'll sit with you, Commissioner, the ones you were mentioning. Between myself and Debbie, she's got some sidewalk projects in the counties for us as well.
We have a question from Commissioner Starkey.
Regarding the Ranch Road and the Zimmerman sidewalks, are those, the Safe Routes to School, that's a federal program, correct? Is that how it's being presented to get funding?
So the Safe Routes to School is no longer a part of the MPO process.
Okay.
I guess entities can apply for those directly.
What entities would have to apply? Pasco
The
County as a
cities,
whole?
I think.
Well, it's not in a city, it's in the county jurisdiction, so.
Brian, do you
I'm just
know?
trying to figure out a way to get this bumped up. I mean, I enjoy talking about East Pasco and bike trails and walk trails, but if we have kids in West Pasco, that don't have a sidewalk to walk to school, and it's still number 16 and 17 on our priority list. I have a serious problem with that. So are we exploring all options to get funding to get these projects done? Commissioner Mariano's been talking about this for years. That's my first comment. My second comment is I represent the city of Newport Richey, as everybody knows. We're working diligently on redevelopment of our municipality, working with the city of Port Richey. We haven't seen any progress with the Harbor's redevelopment plan other than meetings every now and then and talk and talk and talk. So I want to reiterate the need to prioritize that walkway under the US 19 bridge. We're looking to tie in what we're doing with Sims Park in downtown Newport Richey with basically Pasco County's waterfront, which is the city of Port Richey, and that waterfront. That's our Johns Pass. That's our access to the water for where people can go sit on the water, eat, dine. There's so many, the options are just through the roof as far as what we can do with the city of Port Richey in that area. But we need to tie the two together. And I will tell you, a lot of the residents of West Pasco feel neglected from the county where the funds are allocated. So if we could put a little more focus on projects like that, I think that would help spur redevelopment for West Pasco County, clean up the US 19 corridor, and help the county out as a whole. So just had to get that off my mind while I'm here.
Councilman, if you have a
Thank you.
specific sidewalk projects, staff comes to our TACs, they can bring them up and we can add those specifically from where to where they want those added.
Well, I mean, we're
This
talking.
one we've already added, the one Commissioner Mariano brought up. Actually, the mayor Nassau mentioned it, but I already added that one.
I'm glad we added it. I'm just
Where
talking
is
about the need for it. I mean, it's great to see it on the priority list, but once again, we've heard about the Harbor's redevelopment plan for years and years and years. We have kids come down from FSU and tell us, what would be some great ideas, but we never see any implementation in West Pasco. So I'm not trying to whine up here, but we need to put a little more focus on redevelopment, not just new roads and bike paths and walkable trails for these new subdivisions going in Central and East Pasco. I just think we need to focus a little bit more on West Pasco and redevelopment as a whole.
Manny, where do we, excuse me, where do we stand on this list? I'm trying to, what page?
Page 12, number 24.
You are number 24. You notice in 2016 it says NA because that project didn't exist then. We added it in 2017.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Moreno.
You just added it, but that program, that project was on there 12 years ago. And only with cities of Port Richey's kind of like less participation, it got pulled off that program. So it's like listed as a new project. Let me finish, please. This project was on there many, many years ago. And as Port Richey got less involved with the MPO, it kind of like disappeared. Just like the other two projects from Zimmerman and Ranch Road just sat there not moving. I think there's a very strong, I don't consider it whining. This is like, we've got to speak for our people because they're speaking to us. They're telling us we want to see more investment in the side of the county. We're paying all these taxes, all these gas taxes, and all the money just goes to the other side. Call it big projects, big projects. You look at dollar for dollar what you're spending on this side of the county, it needs to change. And that's a project that should be moved up to the top as they're doing redevelopment. We've got studies that are already done. That's a project that links two cities, and I think it would be like a Johns Pass. That connection that could be huge for the city as far as to getting revitalization done. These other two sidewalks, they connect, one connects up to a road that connects to a sidewalk to a school. The other one gets a whole impoverished population out to US 19 where they can go catch a bus. Because right now you got a narrow 2-lane road and you got dirt and caverns to walk through that's got to get done. So those three projects, I think, should move right to the top of the list.
Commissioner Starr.
Well, so we have a formula that our staff uses, which I believe in using a formula and not us, banging the gong. But maybe we need to add something else to the formula so that you get some kind of points for economic development or redevelopment. Maybe we need to look at the formula. Is kind of my point.
Craig.
Actually, with the fast-track new federal law, economic impact is one of the required new criteria now. So it hasn't been before. Tourism is another one. Some things to look at are look at a project and the number, also environmental justice, low income, you require, you can do an analysis of households within a quarter mile, which is a walking distance of a sidewalk, and use that to help weight your scoring to higher these sidewalks, things like that. So there's a lot of tweaks I think we can make to this.
So what, yeah, so that would be my recommendation, is that we take a look at the formula and bring the formula back to this MPO board, because I do think economic development and redevelopment should be weighted higher.
So you said that's part of our new implementation or something, that's part of that, so.
I believe the formula should be used as a guide, though, not the deciding factor.
Yeah, you are always.
Absolutely, that's why we're here, correct?
Yeah, it's all just information to help you.
So we sort of technically rank these.
I understand that.
It's up, if you guys want to move projects around, you have the authority to do that. I mean, we did the first screening of the projects, and the one Commissioner Mariano mentioned, there is a history behind that. Several years back, when we pulled that project, we did ask the cities if they were lab certified, would take on that project. There was no project sponsor. County was not going to oversee a city project, and that's why we pulled it out.
What does LAP certified mean? Did you say LAP?
Yeah, local area program is basically the county is lab certified. We can take on TA projects from design to construction.
So do you have that, Mr. Starkey?
Some of the cities have, Dade
We
City
have, Dade
has.
City has it, it's very helpful.
So what do we need to
Are
do
you
to?
lab certified?
Yeah, there has to have an engineer, or you have to have, actually, but your
Yeah,
staff has to
I don't know
get
offhand if we
certified.
have it. I mean, if not, we'll get certified. We'll do
It
what
is
we
a
need to do. It's
process.
just-
It is a process. I started.
It is a process, it's quite involved, but once you get it, it's good for, I don't know, is it 5 years, you get recertified, but I know we're doing one of our projects right now.
Dade City is taking care of the Hardy Trail extension by themselves.
Could you reach out to Debbie Mans, our city manager? Would you be able to do that and explain what needs to be happening to get certified?
Information, the contact information, Brian can send.
We'll contact Debbie and get
Thank
her
you.
right on track for what she needs to do to comply with it.
It is, I'm going to use the word involved, but once you, like I said, but we have found it has been very helpful. There was a lot of angst when we first did it, but it has really provided a venue or an opportunity to do some projects that we know we would never have a voice
Well,
here.
if it helps move projects like this along, we're more than happy to
Yeah.
do so.
Can I say one other, and with respect to everybody, and this is one of the things, we're all working together, it's one big county, and on East Pasco, and I'm not going to speak for my friend here to the right of me, but we're representing everybody, and I know just as East and West, everybody is all whispering or talking, and not whispering, talking to us and going, hey, this is important. So I think we all come here with the best interest of the county and what our citizens want, and I know every year, and you always let us know, we've got this list as a guide, whether it's a formula, and we're always trying to juggle it around. So I think having this economic impact as part of the equation, and just having that, it is a delicate balancing act as to what we can do, and then respectful of projects that have been on there for many, many years that have gotten, not the oust or kicked to the curb, but have really just gotten lost in the whole thing. So, but I think representation, as Mayor Massard's, I think here, and having the voice and being here just as you are, everybody is, I think that really makes a difference, because we're the ones that ultimately make that decision. So,
Madam Chair.
Councilman
You
Smith?
and me.
Another thing that probably should be considered is if we have local dollars available for the project, I think that should be given a lot of consideration too. Because if we're going to pay for half of it with the county, then that gives the allocation the MPO has, we can stretch those dollars further. So, I mean, that should be factored in if it's not.
I think that's a good point. I also think that none of these projects on here are frivolous, so I think length of time also should count as something.
It's actually a criteria.
Okay. So, but I wanted to ask a question. Can you tell me more about the project that, is this going under the bridge, kind of linking, say, Catches to?
Right. To the
Well,
other
that-
side.
Is this something like the Riverwalk that's down in Tampa?
Except
Well,
it's
I'm
a
not
sling,
sure.
it's a sling pedestrian bridge, goes under the bridge, doesn't it?
Because,
Why don't we start looking at something like a Riverwalk along that river, and
That's
even
like-
look at some tourism money for
Right,
something
no,
like that?
That's been talked about for quite some time. I mean, having a boardwalk type in front of all the restaurants on the Portage waterfront.
Be fantastic.
Tie it into Catches, bring it underneath the bridge, develop that land right there where the old welding shop is, Crab Shack, bring that up that side road, and then up Boulevard where you can take a golf cart, bike, walk, have a trail, to go from the waterfront of Port Richey to downtown New Port Richey. That's the ultimate goal, I believe.
So it seems to me that not only could that be MPO, but that could be TDC as well. And we're going out for, potentially, we're going out for a large bond for capital projects on the Tourism Council, pending a 2-cent increase. And that may be one of the projects we can maybe help along, because I
Sounds
think
wonderful.
I have been going down to Tampa and using that Riverwalk. I was there all day Sunday and with a whole group, and I think it's fantastic, and we should have one too.
Madam Chairman, I just wanted to add to this. The city and county have been working for a couple of months trying to find dates to put together a joint meeting between the cities and the county on a range of issues. But the central issue to this has been discussion of the waterfront redevelopment and making all these various projects connect and be synergistic to get them done. We're trying to find a date. We've had conversations with your staff at the City of New Port Richey and also your staff, Mayor, up in Port Richey, trying to find an appropriate date. So we're going to be very quickly pulling that together. There's been a draft agenda presented back as long ago as February. I know that the Economic Development Department of the county has a fully formed concept that they want to continue to share and work with the city staff to develop. We've also been working closely with all your neighborhoods through the Harbors Redevelopment Plan. And while it hasn't been reported effectively, and I realize you're not aware of much of what's going on, that meeting will help to bring a lot of that to light, to help get everybody understanding there are some significant things being done by all the cities, by both cities and by the county independently. If we can get us all on the same page working together, I think we'll see some major progress in the next year.
Well, I definitely want to see us push that project along. And if we can help at TDC, let's do it.
Mayor Russo.
You don't thank Commissioner for his passion. If you want to develop the waterfront overlay district in Port Richey, which is really the premier place to enter the Gulf, we need to move this forward. Government works so slowly that now next week, 2 weeks, a month, we're going to say we're going to move this to here, grind slowly but very fine. Can we just vote to move that up today?
Yeah, that's what we would do at the meeting next month when we've set the priority list. That's what you're going to be doing, is evaluating your list. We've recommended it based on the criteria that you've established as the criteria. But if there are reasons to elevate it or you want to change the criteria, that's in the power of the MPO board to do that. So that's the process we're going through right now. Today we started the process, 30 days. We close it next month.
So that list will be brought to us, and that will be the conversation of move that. That's what I'm hearing, then moving it
Exactly
along
right.
and making that vote at that point with the 30-day close.
Well, being sophomoric and a new member here, I get this stuff yesterday. Does anybody get it any earlier than that? And Jackson, I guess my staff is not very good, but
I know the link is posted, the actual distribution of the hard copy materials, I think was a little tardy or a little later this time, and I'm not sure the reasons why. I know the link was posted, actually the link was a little late too, I think. But
I normally get the link, honestly, 4 days or so prior to the meeting. We had this discussion when I first joined.
The target should be a week in advance of the meeting.
At
So that you can-
minimum,
all right.
yeah, minimum.
We have a new transportation planning manager who's really on top of this stuff already in 3 days.
there's a lot of stuff in
We're gonna
there,
see
so
that improve.
yeah,
You'll see that
there's
improve.
way too much to digest in just overnight or a day or so. Yeah, the sooner we get it to analyze or digest it and think about it, so when you come here, you're well informed to make decisions or involved in the discussion. I think all of us have expressed the same, that it would be.
You'll be seeing a lot more infographics and a lot less tables also.
Awesome.
Liking this guy.
Less words,
Can
more
I,
visual.
one other comment, and I think this kind of goes in line with what we're talking about with all the wonderful stuff going on in the harbors and everywhere. At one point too, and I know Justine is not with us, but there was that, there is all this other stuff happening outside the MPO that really impacts, and I'm thinking the TDC, which ultimately affects New Port Richey and the Port Richey project you're talking about. So there was a connect where we were able to kind of inform us, or kind of fill in the blanks so that we would know the importance of it. So rather than both of you sitting here and having to be the advocate, was already, we already had a better understanding. And I think it's just being informed. And I think there was that overlap, and we don't have it as much anymore. I think we've got some gaps going on. So we're kind of missing some information that was happening. some other meetings to fill in some things for us to help us.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Consul.
The other thing too is the staff meeting that you have prior to it is pretty important for your staff to attend because they let the priorities of the cities be known to the staff. So I think that's really important to attend.
Okay.
There's a question down.
One more. Manny, Commissioner Mariano has agreed to back the project, whatever, since neither of us are lap certified. Does that work for now? Does that positive or negative for the county? It's fine. I mean, we don't have to go as fast as we can to get lap certified? Because it's a long process.
It's a process that you gotta go through. There's a lot of paperwork
Right.
involved. I mean, maybe someone from engineering services can explain what's involved with getting certified.
But my question is, can we go forward with this with a sponsor from the county?
Well, it's on the funded list. It's on the list.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
We're not going to hold your project up because you're not lab certified.
Yeah.
That's going to be it'll be criteria that you all establish based on your review over the next 30 days. And if you have something that you want to elevate, whether or not you scored high on our initial scoring, you can still choose to bump it up ahead of other
So as
things.
DOT goes through the list, they knock off the top ones. Once we get to that, the decision has to be made if the city will take over the project or the county is willing to.
We'll take over the project, it's just the lap certification. Or we can
We'll all work together to get the project.
work together,
Well-
get it done.
Commissioner Mariano?
Negative. I mean, you get two small cities, relatively speaking, compared to Tampa, et cetera. We got a project that's right in the middle of the county that ties two cities together. So the county should be involved, period. I don't want to see this project get delayed a single day because they're not lab certified. We need to find a way, if there is such a way, and I don't know, you can tell me otherwise, to make this project happen without having to have the cities go through a whole process. Let's try to find a way to get this done. If they need the cities to sign off, I'm sure they would, to say, you just go build it and we'll support you with it. Let's get government out of the way, get the bureaucracy out of the way, and find a way to get it done. The project's been, like I said, 12 years ago it was on the list.
I can't think of another project that would spur redevelopment in West Pasco any more than this. I mean, we're already seeing, we passed a golf cart ordinance, people are driving around downtown New Bridge in golf carts. They want to be able to get to Hooters going over 19. I mean, not that we're going to make it wide enough, you can definitely take a golf cart under, but even if you could park your golf cart, have a little parking spot there and walk under the bridge and go grab dinner on the water. It's just, it creates such a sense of community in our municipality, and it's starting in what we've done and what we're doing is starting in the core of our downtown Newport Richey and just spreading, and we're already starting to see it. So if we can do that on a broader scale, it's gonna spur redevelopment of surrounding areas just more than we've seen in West Pasco in years and years and years, in my opinion.
Commissioner Mariano?
I'll work with engineering services. I don't know when the funding will be available to do that, but somehow they need to work it into their work program to see if they can manage it.
Who's got to work on the work programs?
I guess I'll discuss it with Margaret and Debbie to see if the county can take over the project.
Thank you.
Oh, here comes the
Deborah Bolduc, Engineering Services. We'll coordinate with DOT to see what we would have to do to assist you in the application process for a lab project. And from what I heard you say, you would be responsible for the design and construction of a project?
I believe we will.
So we can see how we can do that, and then maybe it's a matter of just doing an agreement with you, some type of an agreement with you, or maybe we just have to do something through DOT. So let us run that down and see what we have to do to assist. And I would like to add...
That sounds like a year.
No, it's not a year. It's a phone call next week. It's a phone call next week. So we'll see what we can do. And you've raised some really excellent questions. And a lot of some of the things I'm seeing here have crossover in other funding sources. So for this bridge that you're talking about, there may be opportunities, as Commissioner Starkey said, through tourism. But there's also a possibility of economic development providing support through Penny for Pasco. So some of these projects may have multiple opportunities. Some of these projects now could be eligible for Safe Routes to Schools funding. Now before, they had collapsed TA and Safe Routes to Schools, but that's changed.
Oh, really?
So some of these that are on the list, and I'll look at the ones that Commissioner Mariano mentioned to see if they might be eligible for Safe Routes to Schools funding too. So there's crossover here, and there might be multiple funding opportunities other than just TA funding.
And you remember that the,
Can-
I'm sorry.
Can you look at, I just noticed the Trinity Oaks Elementary School sidewalk is dropped out. Is that something that
Well, we
could-
did the sidewalk. We did the
You
sidewalk
did one
along
half.
Trinity Boulevard, and that's the only one that they would allow us to fund under Safe Routes to Schools, because
We
that's where
can't
the
go
kids
from-
were walking.
We can't
So
go from
there's a
Trinity Oaks?
segment
Well, Trinity Oaks to Chelsea Place?
that, we could reevaluate that.
Yeah.
At the time we did that section on Trinity, we didn't have the kids walking. They were coming from Trinity Oaks.
Well,
So
because
we
there's no
could-
place to walk,
So we could
yeah.
revisit that, well,
They're in the
based
shoulder.
on what their criteria is, but we can revisit that. So I've made notes to work with our new traffic operations manager to see if some of these might be eligible for Safe Routes funding as well. So there's other opportunities here, other than just the TA dollars, I think.
Well, that didn't last long, that collapse.
No, it didn't. I think it was like 2 or 3 years, and now they've separated it. They got
Okay.
the divorce.
Okay.
And now you have TA funding and you have Safe Routes. So there's opportunities here, and I have made notes to talk with Manny about those.
Councilman Starkey.
Thank you, very good points, I agree. I think there's multiple funding
I think so
sources that
too,
could-
and you've made some really good suggestions.
But I agree with Commissioner Mariano, I don't want this to be a project put on Port Ritchie because the north side of US 19 Bridge happens to be in their city limits.
Right.
It should be looked
We'll
at
see
as-
what we can do.
As a county project with collaboration between both municipalities, because it's going to impact the entire West Pasco County.
And it is a form of economic development too. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of conversations, I think, that can be
And
held.
remember, this is gonna connect to the Boyce Warner State Park.
Yeah.
Goes through, around, connects Port Ritchie, and would it make it any simpler if I made a motion to move it to the top at
No,
this point?
well, let's do our homework and bring back some information to you so that you can make a recommendation. So let's see what we can do through the lab certification, if there's some way we can assist with that, and see if maybe when this comes back, there's other funding opportunities that can be identified. So you're not limited to just this.
I don't look at this point as the lap is important. It's between two cities, the county, the state park.
Yeah, we had to go through a certification though, but we have this lab certification, so we're bound by that. So we just need to see how we can work with the cities on this if you're not lab certified. If there's some formality for this,
Okay.
because we have to go through recertification every 3 years. We just did it last year. So let us just do some homework on this and then come up with some other ideas in terms of funding opportunities. I don't think you're limited to just this.
Well, I just think
I will
at
look at Safe Routes
24,
again.
we look a lot more limited than at 1.
And I would say some of these projects that are highly ranked are going to come off of his list. There's 2 that we're looking at funding in 2018. We're looking at funding Ridge Road and Congress. And then Majestic is already funded by Penny. So I think I've got like 4 projects that are coming off the top anyway. So this list is going to shift. So I have to still get my comments to Manny. We just talked about this on Tuesday.
Mr. Castleman, I know we're trying to move things along, so go ahead.
Just additional funding opportunities. A couple of years ago, the feds changed the rules. CDBG can now be used for sidewalks in this sort of project. If there's done in conjunction with some curb and gutter, stormwater funds, especially on an NHS route, FDOT has a specific set of funds that can be used for that. So there are safety funds, if there's potential for safety, especially around schools and things. There's a whole host of potential funding sources that we can talk about. For this.
And that this meeting with the cities, February is too late. We really do. There again, have that dialogue. So we're working off of the same. Are there additional questions? We need to keep moving on this one for,
No, this
I
is
know,
just
so you're going to bring
Can I-
something back in 30 days, then that opportunity to vote and move things along, and so Mayor Master, I think that's what
Good.
they're asking at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
To give them that opportunity till the next meeting.
All right. Could you get
Commissioner Mariano, you had
Jocelyn and shake her around and say we need to be last?
Yes.
Shake her out.
Whatever.
Shake her
Yeah,
out.
I've got a
Commissioner
meeting
Mariano,
scheduled.
then we're
All
going
right.
to move on.
And as you would, Mr. Casper, as you take a look at the criteria that's there, the two sidewalks I mentioned as far as Zimmerman and Ranch Road, they're both right in the middle of CDBG projects we've done already in Palm Terrace, East Palm Terrace. So they do qualify for that. And it's partly so frustrating with these low-priority communities don't get the attention, but they do qualify for that CDBG. If that works for funding too, then great.
Right, that's a whole other set of, yeah.
And let's make sure we get these in map form so we can see where they all are.
Yep, that's actually,
Thank you.
that conversation.
Over there.
Over there?
He wants.
Oh, Mr. Beatty, sorry.
I just had a couple of comments. One of the advantages, benefits of the single list methodology that was presented today that the department is getting from all the MPOs is that in the case of a redevelopment related project, for example, has a lot of interest. It's a very important project to two cities and the county. You can move that project onto the single multimodal priority list, which makes it available for any state and federal funding that may be out there.
Ooh.
And that's how you can raise emphasis for projects that are, maybe bigger than the average TA sidewalk project. The other thing you can do is a number of these projects on the TA list can easily migrate over to the Safe Routes to School program. And the safety engineer for the department told a group of us yesterday that everything they've put in for Safe Routes has gotten funded. They apparently have some money to spend for Safe Routes to School.
Wow.
The on and again, off again that happened in the last couple of years, I guess threw some of the local governments off a little bit, and they haven't been applying for those funds as readily as they had been previously. So I would encourage that.
Is Debbie listening? You're listening?
And
Listening
we
to everything he
also,
just said.
We also just recently provided the MPO staff with some new information from the Department of Economic Opportunity, I guess is the name of it. They had some issues with regards to the state budget and what the legislature wanted to do in terms of their funding, but they gave us some guidance just this week on the grant opportunities that are available through the DOE. So
DEO?
DEO, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we have DEO grants and DOE grants?
Department of Economic Opportunity, DEO.
Yeah. Okay.
They were, and as far as moving the projects forward, the staff has been understaffed for a while since Mr. Edwards has gone and you lost your bicycle pedestrian person. And as a result, we don't have applications for a lot of the projects that are on the list, but staff is trying to catch up, and there's personnel that's going to be hired, and we do expect to see a recurring influx of applications for these projects. And once we have that, then we can get started on trying to fund your project. Whether it's going to be LAP or not LAP is a local decision. Many local cities throughout the district aren't eligible for LAP because they don't have the staff that's required to manage a construction project. And in those cases, it's incumbent upon the county to step up where they can to assist the local government and municipalities to sponsor their project in the LAP program. The LAP program gets the projects done a little bit quicker. You can go according to county standards versus state standards, so it's a little cheaper. And perhaps some of these projects could be even looked at for design build, which is another opportunity that lessens the cost and speeds up the projects. Just a little food for thought.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Starkey.
Those are all wonderful. Thank you so much. I had a question on the applications. Is there a deadline for those applications?
We've notified all the MPOs that in order to have enough time to process them, get a right-of-way confirmation from our right-of-way department, and to determine the feasibility of the project by an engineer in the department's staff, we have to get the applications no later than had been 31 March. From what I understand, however, the department is going to move to, right now we're on an accelerated schedule. As you know, the legislature is...
Are you saying the March that we just passed?
Yes.
So our applications are late already?
If you haven't turned them in, that's correct. But we can take them at any time. I mean, we'll take the applications as soon as they're ready. I'm just trying to point out that if we get them after March 31st, it's incredibly difficult to process the application to get it into the look for funding that year. So you just have to wait for the following update cycle. And we'll work with staff on that.
Well, if we're short-handed, guys, I mean...
Commissioner Starkey, I just want to mention, I personally uploaded 3 applications. They're not complete. They need some right-of-way information. I got to get together with Debbie. They want some support documents that we have to upload to the DOT dashboard, they call it. But there is 3 applications that I put in there.
And, you know, I don't know what that means relative to what we want to ask for, but I just want to say, I think these are real important to all of us. So and we know you're short-staffed and working really hard, but if you need some outside help to get the applications in, I think you should ask for some help, and we'll get private sector to help you, just so we don't miss any deadlines that are important to all of us. I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so,
Get her done.
yeah, we don't want to miss.
All righty. Is there anything more on this? No, we're good? Laughing at me? Are we good? I know we all put it out. I think you heard a lot. I think there's a lot to, so in the interest of time, I know we still have got to move along.
All right, one quick, Manny, we did find the old engineering for that path, so.
All right, good.
Madam Chairman?
Yes,
If
sir.
I could just, since we're still on the priority list a little bit, as we were talking, literally just now, I received an email confirmation from, I guess it came from Hillsborough County, but it's the TMA product that has finally been approved, and we have gotten confirmation of our regional projects. The 5456 corridor from US 19 to Bruce B. Downs is on the top list of the 5, and our I-75 overpass road is also confirmed as being in the final list. So it's good news. It's made it through the process.
Interrupting. Good, that's great. All right. Are we moving on? Are we all good to move on to the next item, which is all about?
Before we move on
Yes,
to
sir.
the 2 presentations we have, I handed out this one sheet. It's a memo from Panos. In the last MPO meeting, motion was carried to see if we can expedite the construction of the project. And I wanted you to speak to that.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning,
Name and
Madam
address
Chair,
for-
Commissioners, members of the board. My name is Panos Conces. As many mentioned, I am the project manager for engineering services for the US 41 State Road 54 project. At the last MPO meeting, you asked us to look at ways to shorten the design schedule, and you suggested for us to look at the option if the county funded the construction for the project. We looked at that option. We spoke with our consultant, and we prepared a schedule, and we found that if the county funded the project, the design schedule would be shorter by 3 months, just 3 months. And the reason is that still we will need to go through the FDOT reviews. Those take time. We will still have to coordinate with CSX because part of the project involves the right-of-way within CSX. So there are several issues that require the schedule to be 6 months if the county assumed the construction. If the DOT did the construction, we would end the design in March. If the county did the construction, we would end the design in January. So we have like 2 months, and then we would have to go through the normal advertising process and selecting a contractor, etc. So we're looking at the difference of 3 months. The problem is, if we assume the construction, then we will have to spend our own money, and there would be no way to get that money reimbursed to us from DOT because we didn't follow the FDOT's procedures with regards to public involvement. So that money would be spent by the county and would never be retrieved later on. So engineering services recommends that we will go with the option for FDOT to fund the construction and, have the delay of the schedule by 3 months.
Commissioner
I
Starkey?
discussed this with both of them last night, and it seems to me 2 to 3 months is worth $800,000. So I think this is a good recommendation, and I would move approval.
What's the recommendation, to speed it up or not speed it up?
Well, it's only sped up by 3 months.
Right.
2 to 3 months, and it costs us $800,000 if we do it ourselves.
Right.
If we do it with DOT, it'll be done 3 months later, but they'll pay for it.
Right, so you're supporting that?
I'm supporting
Okay, good.
The 3 months.
the 3
timeframe.
months, yeah.
So there's I'm hearing I have a motion, I think, from
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey to go ahead and accept, what's the recommendation here?
recommendation.
Option number 1 with FDOT funding.
Second.
And there's a second, Commissioner Mariano. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. So thank you. And
Godspeed.
Thank you for
3
looking
months,
into
we
it,
look
though.
forward to
Thank you.
getting that
That
done.
means
Thank you.
really 4 months.
2 to 3 months, 2 to 3.
No, 4.
Thank you
All
very
right, where are we at now? I think we're on item C now with the beautification project, Manny, or Mary Duke, sorry.
Mary?
Hi, Mary Helen Duke, Long Range Planning, Pasco County Planning and Development Department. I'm thankful to be here today with you. I'm sorry about the calendar conflict last month. I'm here to present the US 19 beautification FDOT grant project, which is what the county considers to be a catalyst project for the redevelopment within the Harbors area and West Market area. We believe by going out and doing a landscape medium project similar to what City of Newport Richey has recently started, is going to really help encourage more redevelopment along the US 19 corridor. So as you know, US 19 has been rebranded as the Gulf Coast Highway recently by the state legislature. US 19 is a 6-lane divided highway. It runs about 20 miles. There's about 9.4 miles of sodded concrete medians, and we have several major collector and arterial roads that spur off of it. A key component of the Harbors redevelopment infill plan was the creation of a coastal beach theme along the US 19 corridor. So we're taking that very seriously in instructions to in what our future concept plan for landscaping along the US 19 corridor is. Back in 2015, the county entered into discussions about seriously how are we going to do this. We started talking with FDOT. We applied for an FDOT grant, beautification grant, and we've been awarded $1 million beautification grant in order to do the design and construction for the project. Back in October of 2016, the West Pasco Chamber of Commerce and the West Pasco Board of Realtors came together to form a nonprofit organization called the Gulf Coast Highway Roadway Maintenance Organization. They came together because they're going to take over maintenance of the landscape medians from the county once the installation has been installed and has been established for at least a year period after it's been initially installed. So the county is looking at entering into a parallel maintenance agreement with the Roadway Maintenance Organization. Recently, FDOT and the county signed off on the grant agreement, and On May 23rd, the county moved forward with a design work task order and has hired the firm of Ayers and Associates to start work on the design of the beautification project. A notice to proceed was issued on May 25th. So we're excited that the project is moving forward. The project limits are unincorporated Pasco County from the south county line at Pinellas County line, and then to the north, Hernando County line. So the plans are for the design work is going to be for the whole unincorporated length. So it's not going to include the city of Port Richey, and the city of Newport Richey has already designed and is installing their sections through a separate grant. We would encourage the city of Port Richey to look into getting a similar FDOT grant to do landscaping within their section. And we've provided some information to their staff regarding that.
You have, or you will?
We have. We already have. One reason that we're doing the design for the whole length is we want this to be a shovel-ready project. We want to be able to go back. In fact, the county already has gone back to FDOT and has submitted a letter of intent to apply for the next grant cycle for a similar grant. Our project management staff has estimated that the cost of the landscaping for the length of the project will be about $3.5 million. So clearly, the initial $1 million grant is not going to pay for the whole length. To do the design work and to construct the initial phase, we've estimated it's about $1.23 million for this first phase. We think it'll take 3 or 4 phases to complete the whole project.
Where is phase 1 going to be? Has it been decided yet where phase 1 is going to be?
I think she's going to show you.
Just give me a second, please. So we're looking at primary and secondary gateways and the median segments along the US 19 corridor or the Gulf Coast Highway. The primary gateways definitely will be part of the first phase. That'll be at the North County line and at the South County line. Secondary gateways are at some of the major road intersections along the US 19 corridor. We'll be looking at some in the north section and the south section and in the central section. And then there are median segments in between. The initial funding will not be able to fund all of the secondary gateways, and it probably won't fund very many of the median segments. But the design team is looking at picking out, they're recommending certain key intersections. I think we're looking at Racetrack Road North in the north part of the county, and there's a section in the south part of the county that are going to be the primary, the secondary gateways that are initially looked at. But the design team will be making a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners probably sometime in August where those final decisions will be made. So I can't tell you today exactly where it's going to happen, other than we're pretty confident at the north and south county lines, definitely. Our project management division is managing the project. Richard Marcel is the project manager. Our design consultants are Ayers Associates. The landscape architect on the project is Jonathan Toner with Terra Tectronics, who was also on the City of Newport Richey's project, I believe. It's our understanding the City of Port Richey wants to be distinct, and so the design will be different in the unincorporated portions of the county. It'll be more coastal themed. The projected project schedule is that the design is ongoing and will run through December of 2017. Then it will, we'll put it out to bid, and that'll run from December of 2017 to May of 2018. Construction will run from, hopefully start in May of 2018 and run through February of 2019. At every point in the schedule, our project management will be trying to expedite things as much as possible.
That's our new word up here.
We've been going around talking to different groups about this project and where we are, and we're available to come and talk to the municipalities if they would like to invite us to come and talk to the municipalities. We're now in the design permitting phase, and this will include developing the design plan, the construction specs. We'll have 30, 60, 90 deliverables. We'll be looking at pedestrian safety refuge areas. They'll be developing some artistic renderings, and of course the FDOT review and permitting coordination. And then we can use, of the FDOT grant, we can use the first $100,000 for design work. The county is supplementing the design cost with some additional funding from the tree mitigation fund. That's going to leave about $900,000 for actual construction in this first phase. The construction phase will include the final set of development of the final set of construction bid solicitation plans and project management, so we will have a shovel-ready project construction bid package ready for the US 19 beautification, as well as installation of landscaping at the primary gateways and at the selected secondary gateways. So we think this is a wonderful project. It's really since I've been here at Pasco County, it's really what I'm considering to be a kickoff to our initiatives related to the West Market redevelopment area. We think a lot of wonderful things are going to happen as a result of this project. So,
Thank
for
you.
any questions?
Questions? Yeah.
Yes, I've been through one of these tragedies. How are you going to keep those plants alive?
The county is approaching things, I think, a little bit differently. Once the plants are installed, well, first, the plant selection is very important. Florida-friendly, drought-resistant plantings will be made. That's the first choice. The second choice is, once they are installed, the contract that we have with whoever's doing the installation is going to require a watering schedule for a year post-installation. I think there's like a 3-month period after installation, and we have to get FDOT to come out and inspect and make certain that everything is okay. And so once that happens, then we're going to continue the watering another 9 months beyond that. So a good year of watering before the county turns over the maintenance to the Gulf Coast Highway Roadway Maintenance Organization. That organization will be contracted with the county, and they will subcontract out to a maintenance firm that will be responsible for a regular watering schedule.
How much does that cost?
Our project management team did look at some watering costs. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head here today, but we could probably get that information for you.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to caution you. We did this in Port Richey on a grant, and it was so good, and it was so free, and it was so horrible, because they said everything that you just said, but everything died, basically. So just in your contract, put with whoever this group is going to plant, they guarantee these are so hardy, need little water, et cetera, and put some teeth in it.
Commissioner Mariano.
Correct.
Thank you. Recently, I came back from Orlando, came on State Road 50. I think it was before Claremont, might have been after that. But they had a landscaping project that was absolutely phenomenal. Palm trees, bushes, the works, and it looked just like a road, just like 19, all the way down and through. It was absolutely phenomenal. Have you guys looked at that project?
I haven't looked at that specific project in Orlando, but I have seen wonderful landscape projects in other communities, such as Naples, Florida, where it can be very beautiful, very coastal, even though it's a very, urban roadway. Our design team will be looking at opportunities for gray water opportunities. So that may be able to handle some long-term, but that is very costly, but they will be looking at that for us.
I don't know where that came from, but if you could, I would like to get that looked at, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, anything up there that's been done? So if no one's looked at that, I really think that's something we should look at. It could be a great model for us. I mean, up and down the coast, it could be phenomenal.
In Orlando, where?
In Orlando on Route 50.
Route 50.
Claremont
area. And really, it was just like, it was probably like about a 3 or 4 mile stretch, but the landscape, they had bushes where it'd be like low, so you could see across. They had other bushes that were there all the way through, and giant palm trees that just kind of like really made everything pop. You knew you were in a place, someplace special.
I'm sure our landscape architect, Jonathan Toner, is well-versed in what are excellent examples across the state, so we will.
And the reason I bring it as well as the look and everything else, I'd like us to take a close look to see, before we pull the trigger, let's go find out how much they spent on designing what they've had, and it's something you can duplicate intersection to intersection, up and down all the way through, because they had some of them where lights were, some where the gaps were, so there may be some cost savings in for us as well before we get too deep in the design. So if there are some saving opportunities, and if you look at some recent cost estimates to what they paid, that might help us to go. I want to see the project get done. I want to see it done as efficiently as possible. I want to avoid any implications, but if there's a way to save the money, and especially cut down on our initial design, then I'd like to see us do that, and that may even help us speed the process up.
Our project management division had the project kickoff meeting with the design team on May 25th. So they're about 10 days into design, but I'll certainly pass this information along.
One question with what Commissioner Mariano's saying, then I had another thing I wanted to say, but when I was on the school board, and we would hire architects to design schools, because those plans were paid for with taxpayer money, they were public documents. I would imagine those right-of-ways in the Claremont area at State Road 50 are public documents, and that we should be able to have those plans. So I don't think they belong to the landscape architect. I think they belong to the public. So it would be great to see if we could get those documents. And maybe save us some money if they're as nice as I'm sure they are.
Do you think that was in the city or in the county?
I don't know. I actually, I tried sending the pictures. My phone
We'll try to
wasn't.
track
Is that
them down.
Sumter County? Claremont? Sumter?
I'm not sure.
Lake County?
Lake and Seminole, maybe?
So,
You know what? It could have been Lake.
yeah, I think it's probably
Something
Lake
like that.
County. I wanted to say, in conjunction with this landscaping, and we'll get some pictures here one day, the TDC has funded 2 gateway signs, one on the north side and one on the south side. So I don't think we have that designed yet. Is your architect designing those, do you know?
No, our architect is not designing the gateway signs, but he is planning on where they might be located.
Okay, so they're working
So
together.
trying
So
to
that would be
take
very
that into
nice too. It'll be
consideration.
very nice, welcome to Pasco County kind of feel to it, so. Which that area needs.
Did you have a comment?
2 quick questions, and I have to excuse myself early. Number 1, thank you for the presentation. I didn't mean to jump ahead of you. My apologies.
That's okay.
A lot does go into this planning, which I found out when the city of New Portage did it. Trees can only be so high with billboards, and because it's such a
Exactly.
urban highway, it's going to be a little different, I think, than more rural areas as far as the design goes. Just for clarification, is this the grant that was spearheaded by Greg Armstrong and the Board of Realtors in West
Yes.
Jackson? Okay, so we need to send a big public thank you out for all the work they've
That's
done.
correct.
Oh, yeah.
To get that money for the county, because they're the ones that spearheaded it. That's my first comment based on my first question. My second question is, what are the plans for the county to come up with the funding needed to actually complete the project? Are we going to apply for more grant money? Are we budgeting it in the county budget to pay for it, or where's the projected funds going to come?
The county has already applied for the 2018 Highway Beautification Grant Cycle with FDOT. So we've already put in for another $1 million. We have plans to apply in October for the Highway Beautification Funds, which is a separate pot of funds, which I don't think we'll get that much. We won't get near that amount of money from that, but we do hope to apply for that. And At this point, the county has drawn about 130-something thousand, I think, from the tree mitigation fund to help fund this. There is a possibility that in future years, the county, we could go back to the County Board of Commissioners and request some of those funds as well. Whether or not they'd give them to us, I don't know, but that certainly is an option for us as well.
Just one more comment, Mayor Masad. I agree with you 100%. Why plant plants if they're going to die? What this organization is doing is they're selling medians to local businesses that are going to have small, very nice artistic looking signs in the medians, and they're going to purchase that median for the maintenance for 1 year, and then that business is going to, the money that they're purchasing it for is going to go into the maintenance of that particular median. So they're trying to get enough businesses all throughout the county to jump in, and it's going to be a correlated effort between the county and local businesses to keep the maintenance up, so hopefully they won't die.
Thank you. Well, we did not do that, and I think that's a significant improvement.
I have to excuse myself. Thank you.
Thank you, and I know it's getting late. Councilman Smith,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to echo what Mayor Massard said. We did the same thing. We planted plants, and we just had a very significant drought. We went through some 2- and 3- and 4-year-old mature landscaping that was established died. So if there's any way you can provide water just to keep it alive during the really lean times, consider it, because it's money well spent. And before Jeff Starkey got out of here, I was going to say, there's the west side getting everything again.
I have to excuse myself as well.
Yes.
I've been holding back on that.
Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, if we don't, is there any more voting items coming up?
There's one more presentation, Commissioner.
Voting items.
Oh, well, no more.
I know it's 12 o'clock. I know you got to.
I got to excuse myself too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this on our intersections?
This is
Your
going to be
landscaping?
landscaping funding.
About
yeah.
landscape.
Okay, yeah.
So I know it is almost, it's getting later, so let me see, do we have Carol, and I know Carol, Scott, and Brian are going to do the IMD, landscaping funding. And Commissioner Starkey and Commissioner Mariano are leaving us.
No, I'm here.
I'm sorry, Councilman Starkey, I said that wrong, sorry. Let me see, who's taking this, Carol or Brian?
I'm going to speak to the District 7 program, and then Carol will follow up with the Turnpikes program. First thing we should talk about is where's the funding come from? The dollars for the landscaping program District 7 has is 1.5% of the construction in the district is set aside for landscaping. Okay, it has to be spent on landscaping. Under the state statute, we also have to use local, Florida purchased plant materials through the competitive bidding process. Back in let's see, 2013, the DOT secretary at the time created a policy for beautification, and essentially it says that the policy is to conserve, protect, restore, and enhance Florida's natural resources and scenic beauty when constructing and maintaining the state highway system. That was followed up, actually prior to that, the department had come up with a bold new vision criteria, and essentially that is a program where the department puts out bold types of landscaping, palm trees, that sort of thing, something more than just flowers and all of that. Oh, thanks. So that policy there, what we tried to do with that is on the most highly traveled interchanges and gateways, we worked with local governments regarding welcoming and first impressions was what we tried to do there. The role of the district landscape architect, it's Michael Kidd. He worked with me on this presentation, and basically his role is to administer the utilization of the 1.5%. He develops a district-wide wish list of landscape construction projects. He coordinates with local agencies on providing these grant funds, and he avoids conflicts with roadway projects. The landscaping usually comes after the construction of a project. And he reviews landscape plans from the local agencies for adherence to the department design standards. The landscape budget is approximately $4 million per year. Okay, that's an average. And he breaks it down as follows. 1.7 million average is requested by local agencies at present time for the highway landscape grants. And $1.3 million on average is the department's investment in roadway landscaping, and the B&V stands for Bold New Vision. Projects in Pasco County are shown on the slide there. And I've got a spreadsheet here. Basically, in 2017, there was 6 projects were funded. And that would be the US 19 project phase 1, median landscaping, US 19 median landscaping, and phase 2, US 19 median landscaping, Interstate 75 for 52 to the Hernando County line, some roadside landscaping. Also in 2017 was I-75 from north of 54 up to 52 was some interchange landscaping. I-75 stormwater facilities, we did some roadside landscaping, and also in I-75 the rest area, roadside landscaping. The status of these projects I'll give you in just a minute. Another one on US 19, City of Newport Ritchie, median landscaping was also funded. And in another one in 2018 is phase 2. And this is from the Pinellas County line to the Hernando County line on US 19. And this is a grant request is pending for those last 2. Moving back up to the status of these projects. The very first one there on US 19 is designed by county staff. Construction is actually complete on one of the phase 1s for US 19. Interstate 75 project, the first one, is complete. Second, I-75 is under construction. And I-75 have a project there for contractor bid advertisement. And I-75 at the rest area, design contract is being negotiated. And the last 2, as I indicated, were pending a budget approval.
Brian? Who engages the landscape architect on these, and what does the I-75 52 landscape plan look like?
I don't know what the plan looks like. Someone in the county would have that, well, unless we're doing it. Let me take a look here. I-75 at 52. Yeah, that was a B&B, so that means the department performs the Bold New Vision
The Bold New
projects.
Vision.
Yeah, we do that.
So would it look similar to the other exits and other places, or
I can only assume. I would have to ask Mr. Kidd what he's got planned for out there.
can we find that out?
We can certainly do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And that goes with all of those along I-75. We can get his plan for that.
Anything else? Are we still going down?
Yes.
And I have another question, I'm sorry. Before, when we asked about the landscaping, you said once we put landscaping there, the county has to maintain it?
That's correct. as was indicated in the presentation you just had, you know, the county's.
The same, but it's the same for these interchanges, when you do your BNVs?
I believe it is, but I would have to verify that. If we put it in, you would think that we would water it, but I think that is turned over to the local government.
Okay.
For maintenance. That's essentially it for the, you asked who's the contact. If the county wants access to these dollars, they contact the Mr. Kidd, the department's landscape architect, and they have the applications in the process over there that they manage. And as you've heard earlier, Pasco is apparently pretty adept at seeking these funds and being successful.
We're newly adept. A lot of time went by when we didn't ask for any, but we're glad to be asking for them.
But it does go hand in hand. I mean, going back to the other discussion, I know we're running short on time, but I know Dade City, just like Port Ritchie and these other places, I mean, we got these very nice grants at our gateways, and before the year was even up, things looked almost as bad as they did before we started. So having that maintenance and all of the water and all of those other things are so important. So,
the last couple of slides
yeah, I was
is
going to say,
from the Turnpike.
Other folks look like they're wanting to head out, so we're going to have the only one person sitting here soon.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'll be quick. I know I'm between you and lunch. Okay. I'm Carol Scott with the Turnpike, and Brian did a good job with covering the DOT District 7 landscaping program. And the Turnpike, we're similar in that we report to the Department of Transportation Secretary. Now, this slide is outdated. You can see that I had Rachel Cohn as interim, so we have a new secretary that we're excited that he's coming from DOT, so he knows how we work, and so we're excited to work for him. But even though we're funded differently, we are funded with our Turnpike revenue and our Turnpike revenue bonds, we still fund 1.5% of our construction costs for landscaping. So just in general, how do we select our projects? When we're having a new corridor or an interchange that we're going to build, when we do a project development and environment phase. So we look at landscaping potential during that phase. If we have a project that's already existing that we're making improvements to, like an interchange or a roadway, we do a few different things. We analyze the site and the landscaping. We look at what's there. We look at what's coming. Are there going to be additional buildings being built? Because we're a toll facility, we also have infrastructure under the road, so we have fiber optic cable underneath that we can't put landscaping on top of. So we take all that into consideration as we're making improvements. We look at the landscape opportunity, meaning what is already out there that we can use, and also landscape disposition. So what is out there when we're making our improvements that might fall casualty to the project. If it's in good condition, if it hasn't been damaged by mowers or disease, we can actually relocate it to another part of our system around the state. And generally, our projects are standalone. They weren't in the past, and Mayor, you brought up a very good point about landscape dying. It used to be, it was at the tail end of the construction project, and the contractor planted the plants, and then they kind of fended for themselves. Well, now we have standalone projects. So about a year after construction, we have a new contractor come in, and they plant the plants, and they maintain them for 2 years. So if anything dies that 2 years, they're on the hook for it. And then after that point, we maintain it on and all the landscaping that we do typically is on our limited access right-of-way. And then, our maintenance, we maintain it. If there is additional landscaping that we provide that's not on our limited access right-of-way, we'll need to do kind of a memorandum of agreement of who's going to maintain it, because generally we don't maintain things off of our system. And then I know, Commissioner Starkey, you brought up State Road 54 and kind of the landscaping there a couple meetings ago. So specific to Suncoast Parkway, it is pretty minimal at all of our interchanges. We have some palm trees and some trees and bushes. One thing though that we do is that when we have a project going on, like a construction project going on, we're not going to do landscaping any additional landscaping projects during that time. So right now on the Suncoast Parkway on the whole length, we have an all-electronic tolling conversion project. So it's involving bulldozers coming in, and we're actually removing all of the plaza buildings and putting in electronic gantries. So that project's going to go until about 2019. So after that point, we can look at landscaping enhancements. We also, now this isn't programmed yet, and the need is a little far out, but we are looking actually at widening part of Suncoast Parkway, the southern part. So I might be coming back to you in the fall and telling you that's in our tentative work program, but we're still kind of figuring all that out. So again, that would also factor into any landscaping decisions that we make in the future.
And I had a meeting here a few months ago with Jim Wood and someone from Turnpike on the Orange Belt Trail connection under the Suncoast. And at that time, they said you were starting engineering on widening the Suncoast, and they weren't aware of Tower Road flyover. So that's all been corrected now, right, Manny? And huh?
I apologize. Could you repeat that, please? I'm sorry.
Yes, when we had a meeting here about 6 months ago with Bexley, and Michelle Baker was there, and Jim Edwards came in, and it was with Jim Wood who's in charge of.
Yes, he's our assistant secretary.
Yeah.
One of ours.
Oh, I didn't know he was assistant secretary. Okay. So Jim and a gentleman from Turnpike Authority whose name escapes me.
Maybe Mike Shannon.
Yeah, I think it might have been Michael. Looking at how we're going to connect the Orange Belt Trail, because right now the Suncoast blocks it. We talked about the Tower Road flyover and the Tower Road pedestrian flyover, because we've got to get the trail either over or under the Suncoast from one side to the other. And the Suncoast and Jim Wood people said, Jim Wood said that they had no idea about the Tower Road flyover as they were starting engineering and design on widening the Suncoast. So I just want to make sure you guys are all talking.
Yeah, they might have been just, I know that we haven't done any actual design yet, because that hasn't even been funded. So there might have been like maybe initial in-house concepts that were being done, but definitely I know that our project managers, once it has its own FPID and we have a project manager on it, they do coordinate with the county. Yeah, regularly. So there's not, for the design, there's not actually anything programmed yet, so.
And I just want to say also that just not the overpass, we are looking at some interesting concepts at that location. I know it's so close to 54, and you don't accept a new interchange there, but there are ways to do something so you don't have any weaving problem and all that. So I wish that we maybe, sit down, have a conversation about the concept that we kind of looking at, and hopefully, it's something that it takes time before you actually implement it, but if you can start thinking about it, that'd be great, because that 54 and Suncoast interchange, it's gonna have a lot of issues.
Yes, there's a lot of new development coming up there, so.
I have some correspondence from Mr. Shannon and from Jim Wood on the ability for Bexley to use the underpass like they were trying. And right now, because it's at 7 foot 6 inches, they're thinking it's not a good idea. I guess there was a big meeting on access, trail, I don't know what the public access
to the limited access right away.
Right,
I think.
which I don't really understand, because this is going underneath. It's not going in the fences, it's going underneath. But anyway, I did have a conversation with Senator Simpson about this yesterday, and he was meeting with Secretary Dew. I met with Wilton Tuesday, and he was meeting with Secretary Dew Wednesday, and we're going to have a conversation in Tallahassee about how we're going to get people safely from one side of the Suncoast to the other side, because Jim's suggestion, or Michael's, that they use the 54 underpass, it's this wide, and it's families.
Or I believe a bridge was another option.
Or the flyover,
Yeah.
right. which we just need to advance that conversation, that's all. And
Yes. And
I
I
won't take up too
misspoke.
much
Jim
time
Wood
here.
is not our assistant secretary. He reports to the assistant secretary.
Yeah, I think
so
he's
right.
in charge of
I
new.
forgot the title, but
Yeah.
yes.
I never remember titles. Okay, I know we're going
I know
late.
we're
Yes.
going way over, so.
So that, yeah, that concludes, next thing was the question slide, so we're at that point.
So thank you so much. Did you have a question?
Consider cannabis very hardy.
Oh,
All right, well,
wow.
let's go
I can just picture the articles. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right, other business.
It's just the items of note, some of the meetings coming up or being held.
But I do have a comment, a question, I need some direction. So that meeting, the T-Barter, I will not be able to attend on June 16th. I know there was a notice that came out, I had already had a kind of, so Mabel knows. Do we have to get somebody from this board to go, or how shall we
And then
handle that?
also, Councilman Starkey was the vice chair, he could have gone.
And actually, that's what I went out to talk to him. He will not be able to attend, but he did volunteer Councilman Smith in his place.
I'll owe you. I did ask that in the future, if I just knew when the dates are, by the time I have a commitment that I cannot get out of, but it's Friday
When
the
is that?
16th.
A week from tomorrow, the 16th.
Right here.
It's
no.
in Orlando.
The 10 or the 12 did you need to be at?
It's in Orlando.
Yes, and yeah, it's in Orlando.
Attend that morning already.
I'm in New York.
How about, can we reach out to Commissioner Mariano or one of the other commissioners here to see if we can get them? And I said, normally, it's just, if I just did not have it and I cannot change my other commitment, but in the future, that would not happen,
Or maybe you can assign it out with Chris.
Well, we'll have to check and see what the legal rules are in terms of votes. It is an important meeting. We do need to have a representative at the meeting,
So can we reach out first to the other commissioners that aren't here?
We'll do
And see
that.
if we can get them to go, and if not, see if, I don't know
Okay.
if Mayor Massard is interested, or he's smiling, which means probably no.
As you know, the T-BART is reaching reorganization kind of function, and how the politics are shaping up in the region around transit is a significant, significant discussions are occurring.
And I will say, and it's important, I know Kelly got
votes.
up, and I know we were at these other meetings, and having the PASCO voice and continue to encourage other PASCO, I think that is so important, so I'm really very disappointed that I can't make that one, but I do hear, and I want to make sure that I will be at the others, but, so
We'll
let's
check
make
with the
sure
other
we
two
get that
commissioners, yes.
representation and just get back and let know.
Will do.
Are there anything else, Manny or Ally, that we need to do here before I open it up to public comment? All right, for those of you still with us at this hour, is there anyone in the audience like to address the MPO board? Commission board members okay?
I just wanted you to see this flyer. I made this with my staff because I made a presentation at the ULI conference on trails, and anyone can change the front. You know, this has my name on it, but you're welcome to change it and add anything to it, and we can build this, and I'll use it as we go out and about. So my staff has this template, and feel free to access Michelle to get some if you want your own name on it, or and again add things to it. So the 301 trail is really not called out here. I just had time to call out the San Antonio Hills, and I called out the Orange Belt. So that's it.
And there we are. All right, on that note, if there's no
Oh, it is
further.
here.
Yeah, it is. We are here. No further discussion, we'll adjourn at 12:20. Thank you all. Long meeting.